Hey everyone, Vikram here, the co-founder and CEO of Crunch. I'm going to give you a real quick demo of what we do. Product analytics has always been a very complex domain to take care of. As much as it's important for you to know what your users are really doing, there's a lot of effort that goes into tracking the events. And then on top, even if you're making any code, copy, UX changes, it's like a Herculean task. Your engineers may leave, things may not get tracked. When you're asking a question, you may not have the right answer. And worst of all, every offering out there forces you to think in a linear fashion. There is a dashboard, there's a set of widgets. We don't really operate like that as humans. That is precisely what we are hitting at. So I'm going to switch to my screen and give you a glimpse into how everything at Crunch works. What you're seeing on the screen here is the setup flow. The setup is fairly straightforward. All you're supposed to do is install this snippet on the front end and the back end. We're going to take the example of Spotify. So essentially, the way it moves is as soon as your developer installs the scripts and the tracking code on the front end and the back end, you will see a very simple configuration happen. That configuration takes usually very small of a time, and then you land something on this sort of a screen where you'd see that on the right, the events are automatically getting tracked. This is auto capture for you. Every single event is getting recorded in real time. Now, what you can also do is of course, these events will keep on popping. It usually takes a bit of a time. If you have a good density of users, the data can become meaningful for you to plot graphs in a very short span of time. Otherwise, sometimes it may take a day for substantial data to come in so that you can ask questions, but you will never run out of answers as long as you have a question. Now, if I switch to the users tab, I can see that these are all the users that are performing different actions. And there is a bunch of details that you can see for all of these users. So I can see what Cody for that matter has done, which device did they browse from, what are the activities that they did. In fact, all of their activities are segregated in a separate page as well. We can totally close this, but what's really important for you to understand is because of the way in which the events and the users got tracked here, you can simply click on this button and it will sort of take you to this magic board or magic canvas as we call it. Now, what you're seeing here is a bunch of options for you, right? So it's recommending you some of the questions depending on the events that coming in. With time, these recommendations become better and better. I can simply go ahead and click on weekly trend of user engagement with the Discover Weekly playlist. Imagine this is Spotify. So in this case, you're already seeing a bunch of things pop up here. I can go on and do these hovers, which is fairly straightforward. Everything that you imagine in a widget like this. What's really cool is that you can also see how this event has been plotted, right? How this widget has been plotted for that matter. So you're seeing that the click Discover Weekly button is what's really being taken care of here. This is an automatically generated plot for you. You can go give us a feedback as well saying, oh, this looks good, this looks bad. Depending on that, things improve. There are a bunch of recommendations that keep coming in, or for that matter, we can simply go ahead here and type something out. So what's the click-through rate of the recommended songs being added to playlist, right? And as soon as I press enter, you will see that there is a branch that generates from it, right? Now, so here we are thinking linearly. I looked at the graph up, I felt that I needed to ask this question, I typed it in. I can keep doing it on and on, right? So you can go ahead and type in any question, you can go on and type something for that matter. So I simply go on and say, hey, average time spent on listening recommended songs versus Discover playlist. And what's essentially happening is of course, I can play around with this, but if you see here, right, what's happening essentially is I am sort of just drilling down at one step at a time. Now from here, what I can also do is I can branch, and this is where it gets really interesting. So you see, as analysts or as product managers or as data leaders or as product leaders, we don't necessarily have one hypothesis. And what I'm going to show you is necessarily how you want to look at hypothesis inside of Crunch. So when you go in and click on something like songs played, what you're seeing is now there is a branch that has come in, right? Now that branch has happened from the original tree that we had. So songs played versus added to playlist broken down by top 5 countries, right? Now here, I can keep going on and on, right? You can create n number of branches, these trees. We look at it in sort of the way Whimsical is plotted, but except that it's Whimsical of widgets, right? So I can sort of go in and do a pan here. I can do whatever I want, like these are all the widgets. I can go in and look at how everything is coming. So now that we have seen panning, what I'm actually going to do is I'm looking at this data and I have an altogether new question in my mind. Happens all the time, right? Like when we are trying to analyze data. So I can simply go in and type something here, right? Like, and as soon as I type how many users are canceling their subscriptions, now this is a standalone widgets that plotted in the same canvas. So I have all of the information that I plotted in my canvas, and this is like a new tree of thought that I can like start from here. Perfect. Now that we have seen how different hypotheses can be all plotted in, I'm actually going to show you like how all the historical searches that you have done or boards that you have created can also be seen from the left pane. And I can actually go into any of these boards. So I can go into average time spent on group sessions. Let me actually just close it down and show you something which is really important, which is how drill down works, right? Like, so here is a board that's been created, and I can simply go on and say, okay, I'm seeing the data on April. I click on it, and now you see what's happened here is ask anything on the 7,250 users who upgraded in April, which is like the way a drill down would work. So I go in and type a question here, and that drill down is going to happen actually on their data point, right? Like, so break down the trend by users who purchase more than once versus only once, and then degrade it. Now that we have done drill down, what's really also important is to understand how you can actually, it's very easy to get lost in the sea of information that you have on your board. So you can simply like zoom out, right? Like, and the way zoom out works is that you would go about looking at 3 different levels. So I zoomed in one level, and now I'm looking at all of these graphs that are there on my screen. The plot itself has gone away and the key information is visible. I can zoom one level more, and then I can see everything. Like, this is a bird's eye view of you. So when analysis actually becomes trickier, it's easy for you to sort of like take care of things this way. And one real cool thing here is that you can at any point in time go into a canvas and save a copy or a screenshot of that for that matter, or simply look at these widgets and like save the whole canvas into a dashboard or save these widgets into a dashboard. So the way it works is that you will have to now select widgets. You see here 0 widgets selected on the top. So I'm going to select this and I'm going to select this, and you can look at all of the widgets that have been selected, right? Like, so I can simply go and like choose the dashboard that I want to add these 4 selected widgets to, or this tree for that matter. I can simply go on and select user acquisition and onboarding, and that's it. You get a confirmation on the bottom left saying that the widget has been added. Now, this was the most significant part, but what's also important to understand is that the regular way in which you have done product analytics, that's not going to go anywhere away. So if I go to my dashboards, I can look at all of these dashboards that have been created. I can go on and click on any one of these. For example, if I go into power users, I look at all of these widgets that are plotted here. There is a time period filter, there are all these standard filters, everything that you would imagine in a data analytics platform to have. All of that is available, but one real cool thing is like if I go into addition of a widget, I'll see all of these libraries of widgets that have been pre-created. So what we have done is basically gone back and talked to a lot of customers and sort of identified these questions that get plotted the most, questions that business leaders often ask, questions that data analysts often asks, right? Like, and you'd see like these are like broken down into different categories. I can of course go and browse through all of these categories. One real cool thing that I wanted to anyway show to you is how these events actually get mapped to the widget. So if I go in and click on A's purchase flow completion, let's say we want to add this widget, you are seeing how the plot is going to look, and on the right you are seeing that okay, for this widget you need 2 events. And of course, because the AI is capturing a lot of these events, while we can predict in a lot of cases what exactly denotes the purchase option or what exactly is the purchase flow, sometimes the events are really custom, and in those scenarios it's best for us to ask you. So what you can simply go on and say is that hey, premium plan button is the button that says purchase plan, right? Like, and you see like when I'm hovering over it, I can already see how many times this event has been clicked upon in the past whatever number of days, because we are auto tracking. This is where whenever you have a question, we already have the answer for you. You just have to like tell us which button you are really looking at. So I can simply go on and select click on that button, and then there is a second thing calling payment button. So like you can go on and see locate the button which lets user purchase a plan. So in this case I can actually, we just saw choose event, so let's go into doing define visually. And what it's essentially going to say is like in this case where we are looking at Spotify mobile app, you are essentially just going and looking at, so it's going and saying, hey, start locating the button. Now this is visual location. It's a lot easier than going and looking at the code base and inserting that tag. So you can simply go on and click on start locating and maybe click on this button. And you see that it's already saying that, okay, this button has also been clicked 23,000 times in the past, whatever. I can add a description. We always recommend you add descriptions, but for the sake of the length of this video, I'm just going to go on and click on done. And then I go on and click on add widget, and that's it. You see that the widget has been added on the top of your dashboard. So this is Crunch for you. We think it's really going to make a difference. And what's essentially happening right now is that we are only looking at event analytics. Going ahead, we would start looking at all types of data warehouses. So data related to your sales, data related to your marketing and whatnot. We are actually signing up early beta users. If this is of interest for you, there is a waitlist because we want to handhold how the experience unlocks for you. But if you are really interested, please drop a comment, reach out to me in DM, go to our website crunchit.ai and sign up for the waitlist. Any which way you would end up finding yourself on the waitlist, and there are ways actually to fast track your position as well. So let me know if any of this excites you. If there is any feedback, that also would be brilliant in comments. Thank you so much for watching this.